Hello, my name is Tash Transu, and I will introduce the AHJ Registry, my Capstone team project that will use gamification to help the United States reach its goal of zero carbon emissions by 2050. Right now, we are faced with growing amounts of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere, and 2/3 of electricity production is from fossil fuels. According to Bill Gates, we need to get that to zero greenhouse gas emissions by 2050. And solar is one of these renewable energies that we can use. The costs of solar have continued to decrease over the past decade. However, the soft costs of solar have remained steady and now cost more than the hardware itself. Looking at this chart, the soft costs are the striped bar and the salmon colored bar, and they make up 50 to 60% of the total cost per watt of solar each year for the past decade. Finding and employing ways to reduce solar soft costs will result in more solar sooner. The Department of Energy has identified that $1 per watt of costs can be reduced by creating a uniform, clear process for permitting and inspecting solar. And this includes standardizing data exchange between different solar industry stakeholders, standardizing the permit application process, standardizing what requirements and regulations are applied to get a permit, and how solar inspections are done. The AHJ Registry focuses on permit requirements and regulations. Permit requirements are decided and enforced by authorities having jurisdiction, or AHJ. And AHJs are the bottleneck to installing more solar. There are over 43,000 AHJs in the United States, and the permitting requirements at each one can vary. So as a solar installer, when they want to get a permit, they need to answer two questions. The first is, what AHJ has jurisdiction over my installation site, and what are each AHJ's requirements for getting a permit? And when there are 43,000 variations on permitting requirements, these two questions become very difficult to answer. Starting with the first question, what AHJ has jurisdiction? AHJs come in all different shapes. The one on the left is a very calm and simple shape. It's just a square, and it probably isn't too hard to figure out whether you're in its jurisdiction or not. Then there's more complex AHJ shapes. And here we see there's a lot more curves. But if you maybe, for example, figured out that your installation site was north of this river, then you would know that your installation site is in Madera County. However, this question can get a lot more complex. Take a look at Houston City, Texas. It has holes in the middle of its jurisdiction, as well as thin tendrils that shoot out from its center. And we can zoom in on one of these thin tendrils and see that on one side of the street, Houston City has jurisdiction. On the other side of the street, it's Houston County that has jurisdiction. So if you were a solar installer, you would need to know which side of the street you were on, and then which side of the street Houston City has jurisdiction on. So it can get very complex. The next question the solar installer needs to answer is, what are the AHJ permit requirements? If they finally figured out which AHJ they needed to submit a permit to. The current methods for finding AHJ permit requirements now are investing a significant time into research. That can be reading building codes or calling the AHJ with specific questions to find out more information. Another idea is to hire someone with prior experience working with that AHJ. And finally, they can make a best effort at their permit application, submit it, and when they get the permit application back, correct any mistakes and submit it again. The issue with this is it's very time consuming and expensive. And making mistakes on a permit application and having to resubmit it can delay a solar project weeks. And after all that, if you wanted to do a solar installation in a different jurisdiction, you would have to do this process all over again, because knowledge about one jurisdiction very rarely transfers to another. To help solar installers and other solar industry stakeholders answer these questions, we are introducing the AHJ Registry, which is a website, an orange button compliant REST API directed towards letting people easily find the correct AHJ for the installation site and provide easy access to the permitting requirements for every AHJ in the country. And ultimately, it is aimed to bring attention to all the variation and encourage AHJs to adopt uniform requirements. This diagram shows how we are developing and growing adoption of the AHJ registry. So first, we built a service that makes the sought-after data easily accessible. And we did that by creating this fast search tool that lets people quickly find the correct AHJ. How we built the search tool is we were first given a list of AHJs from the National Renewable Energy Laboratory and a bunch of region files or shapefile polygons from the census. And with those two, we were able to match the AHJs in the list to their census regions. Then, using Google's geocoding, we could take an address and turn it into latitude, longitude coordinates and tell if that address fell into an AHJ's jurisdiction or not. So here we see, given the address of the Honors College, we can return the authorities having jurisdiction that have jurisdiction over the Honors College. All of the data in the AHJ registry is also accessible through an orange button data standard. The orange button data standard is a taxonomy that defines how solar data should be represented. And it has gained increasing adoption by the solar industry and has been funded by the Department of Energy. And one benefit to the AHJ registry using an orange button data standard is that anyone who's adopted it already can immediately use the service, and it encourages other industry stakeholders to learn about orange button as well. Next, after building a service that makes data easily accessible, we worked on applying a GitHub governance model to the AHJ registry. GitHub is a code source control service that employs a governance model that allows anyone to contribute to software projects. And then all those contributions are then moderated by founders of the software project or repository owners or previous contributors who have a strong record of good contributions. And an advantage and why the GitHub governance model works is that it incorporates accountability. So every contribution that's made is public and recorded. And then that encourages users to make high quality contributions. And the high quality or impactful contributions that are made are always credited to their creators. We can apply a GitHub-like governance model for data to the AHJ registry. So the AHJ registry allows anyone to contribute AHJ data, and then AHJ officials confirm their contributions. Now the AHJ registry can incorporate accountability motivating its users to add accurate data. And then those who do make contributions, when their contributions benefit another person, that person will know at least who helped them. And that provides recognition. The recognition opportunities of the AHJ Registry, however, can be expanded. With a model that allows anyone to contribute, we can then explore opportunities for attracting more contributors. And modeling after GitHub again, the communities on GitHub attract contributors by establishing a gift culture, where instead of people exchanging time for money, they exchange their time for recognition in the community that uses the software project. One example of how GitHub does that is by tracking commits and lines of code written that people have added. And another way is by adding a contributors.md file, which is a list of people who have added impactful features to the software project. Another way to attract contributors is with gamification. And gamification can be done through leaderboards or various activities. We see here, Starbucks employs gamification by attracting users to earn stars by buying their products. And companies that, or organizations that set up gamification can further their goals with gamification if they align the incentives correctly. Starbucks wants to sell more products, so their gamification is aligned towards Starbucks' goals. Incorporating a gift culture into the AHJ Registry that is motivated by recognition and creating gamification, such as leaderboards around recognizing users for their contributions, the AHJ Registry will be able to gain a lot more contributors. And the ultimate goal of the AHJ Registry is that AHJ officials are the ones who are maintaining the data directly. So we can make progress towards that goal by adding gamification for public users, such by tracking AHJ Registry usage, the number of contributions they have made and that were accepted by AHJ officials. Those would be high quality contributions. And the number of AHJ officials these public users have referred to sign up with the AHJ Registry. And then we can also add gamification around for the AHJ officials themselves, who they can be recognized for the number of contributions that they have accepted, how quickly they are able to turn around permit applications and supply permits, and the number of kilowatt hours they have installed in their jurisdiction. Finally, with these three categories set up, we have a service that makes data easily accessible, a GitHub model so that everyone can contribute, and gamification to grow the user base and have more contributors. The AHJ Registry is then able to demonstrate value to government officials. And by demonstrating value to government officials, we can get their support and have them adopt the AHJ Registry as the new standard for sharing permit requirement information. The AHJ Registry is a highly leveraged opportunity that empowers everyone to reduce the cost of solar and support the goal of zero greenhouse gas emissions by 2050. And while we're doing it, we can have fun and recognize contributors as we work together to save our planet. And since its public launch in January 2021, 3 of the top 10 installers, largest solar installers in the United States, now utilize the AHJ Registry daily. If you are interested in helping develop pivotal projects that reduce solar costs, contact support@sunspec.org and learn how you can make a difference today.